What's up, guys? So let's get rolling with what's been up of late. Just finished what was a training block that was mostly centered around getting stronger, and we certainly did that. Primarily the front squat just shined. I think prior to this block, I had accumulated maybe a total of 6 sets where I've used loads over 300 pounds for reps on the front squat, and I think we did a total of like 20 during just this training block. And while things were really good and really predictable, and we made some progress with our strength, I know, just based on my history, that about 2 training blocks or training blocks where I'm solely focusing almost on just that strength is about as much as I can handle, and then we have to go back to something that perhaps is a little bit less intense and involves a little bit more volume. Again, when I say intense, I mean the average percentage of my 1 rep max used through the whole training block. So yeah, if I end up going heavy for too long, usually it's the connective tissue that can't keep up. So yeah, right now we're kind of putting that strength we've gained during the last few months into good use, and the training block looks quite a bit different. All right, I'm actually doing a take 2 for this one. Some editing issues, but you know what, we'll get it out, and this time I'll be able to run through everything I want to say in one take. Okay, so we are running a volume block. The last block we did was something that was a bit more ambitious in regards to just progressing with our loads. Typically, I know based on my history that about 2 months of that is about as much as I can take, and then I need to back off and put my strength that I gained during those blocks to good use. So this phase, it's an upper-lower split. Traditionally, when I am running something with a little bit more volume, I tend to go with full body splits, simply because what it does is, why I do think there's an advantage there from a synthetic point of view, just hitting things way more frequently. However, the main reason is it just protects the quality of your volume. So if you're on your 4th chest movement for the day, it's usually not as good as the first one. However, if I scatter the volume throughout the week, that is not as much of a problem. However, in my situation, the gym that I like to go to for lower body is totally different from the gym that I like to do my upper body work at. So it's just a lot more practical and no other reason. And I wanted to really outline that fact, because often what ends up happening is people will commit themselves to the perfect plan. It's not so practical, and they can't stick to it. So just wanted to really bring that point home, that even when it comes to setting up my own training, I try to do what just is most fitting for me at that point in time. And then also, I just kind of enjoy the split. I think, and that's a big part of it, you need to be excited about your training. You will make the most progress when you really enjoy the way you're training. And the last 5 years, this has been roughly about half my time has been spent doing upper-lower splits. So let's get into what happens during the week. So day 1 is going to be the day that we do a good deal of work. Basically what happens there is, for all movements, upper and lower, we will find a weight that we can do for anywhere between 13 and 17 reps. We will then keep using that weight until we can no longer get at least 4 reps less than our first set. So let's just say our first set was 100 pounds for 16 reps. We will keep using that weight until we can no longer get 12 reps with 100 pounds. The first set, I definitely leave 1 or 2 reps left in the tank. It usually allows me to work with more volume in my preceding sets, and then the last set is also with about 1 in the tank. I try to make it that way anyways. Day 2 is a playoff of what I did during day 1. What happens there is, whatever I did on my final set on that movement, I will do that for 3 to 5 sets. It depends on whether or not it's a strong body part. So something such as arms, I'll do 5 sets. Something such as, say, quads, I'll do 3 sets. But that's how day 1 and day 2 play off each other. Day 3 is going to be the day where we load a little bit more, and every week is going to be, there's going to be a different rep range for our prime movement. So week 1 is 10 reps, week 2 is 8 reps, and then week 3 and 4 are both 6 reps. And yeah, so I try to do something like a 4x10, a 4x8, 4x6, and then another 4x6. And definitely I try to leave, especially when it comes to the lower rep ranges, at least 1 or 2 reps left in the tank, simply because I just progress better when I do it that way. I will get burned out quite easily if I take too many sets to failure, especially with anything that is under 10 reps. Also, another reason that I'm hitting an upper-lower split is because it actually syncs in pretty well with my training partner Leanna's split. And again, like, a lot of things go into deciding what is best for you in regards to programming, and this split allows us to train together quite frequently. But yeah, that is what we're going to go with. You know, I was very tempted for a minute there to actually continue with what I was doing and sneak in another block with where we were really going to try to overreach with some heavy loading. But you know, just based on my history, I know that about 2 months is all I can take. Then I need to back off and put that strength that I gained to good use. A few movements have certainly changed. So I'm putting flies back into the routine, simply because while my chest it's not lacking, it's certainly not spectacular. I also have a hard time bringing my humerus all the way across when I am doing a press, and a lot of that just has to do with my lack of shoulder control, something that I'm definitely working on. But in the meantime, this kind of helps me actually put my pecs through their full range of motion. The dumbbell seal row will be back in action as well. The barbell seal row was just getting kind of stagnant. I was on a roll for a minute there, and then just kind of hit a wall. So decided to go with this just for the sake of my morale. I forgot how awesome of a movement this is. Your scapula just has an easier time retracting. However, with heavier loads, it's just kind of not practical to get the dumbbells in place. But since this is going to be, we're going to be using higher rep ranges, it's not as much of an issue. Also, my long head movement for this training cycle is going to be this thing right here. Forgot how much I love this movement, and it's one of those that again has withstood the test of time in regards to not only is it effective, but also it's it doesn't cause me as much elbow issues as a lot of other movements. So yeah, big progress, or I should be increasing weight on both this movement and the dumbbell seal row quite a bit over the next few weeks, simply because they are new movements and I'm trying to relearn how to do them, which again is one of the reasons why I'm so stubborn sometimes about switching up movements, because there is that learning phase where you're not necessarily all the way challenging your muscles. You're just really trying to make those neurological adaptations. And for single joint movements, it certainly doesn't take as long. So those I just kind of rotate more frequently for the sake of avoiding wear and tear. But for the more complicated ones, yeah, it's usually going to take you anywhere from 3 to 5 weeks to just find your actual groove with them. And then also the single arm pull downs, I'm switching them over to neutral grip pull downs for no other reason than it's a time saver. And given how much work sometimes I feel like I have to do on a upper lower split, it gets me out of the gym just a little bit sooner. So that's kind of the issue with like doing unilateral stuff, is it takes twice as long. 6 sets, 3 sets is really 6 sets. So this again is going to be another movement that I think over the next few weeks I'm going to see a spurt in progress. But yeah, no, it's been actually quite fun to, I wouldn't say get my bro on, but use rep ranges that I think sometimes have kind of fallen out of fashion with bodybuilders nowadays. Yeah, sure, they kind of hurt, and the acclimation period initially kind of does suck, but again, the main purpose here is to just kind of keep my connective tissue healthy so that I can produce. And this kind of goes back to something I've mentioned before, that a big part of my success is going to revolve around me staying healthy. If I stay healthy, I will be productive. And you can kind of connect this to Eric's pyramids, where he brings up adherence. Adherence is at the very bottom of both pyramids. That is what is most important. And yeah, I would say that at this point, the issue is not necessarily that I won't adhere to things. I will definitely do what it takes to win as a competitor. However, if you're injured, it's very hard to adhere. So I think sometimes, I guess those two, they can be connected. I need to show up. A lot of my success revolves around me showing up. So that's why it was pretty easy to actually make that decision to back off the heavy stuff for a while, get into some volume training, and almost right away, I think about 2 weeks in, the fact that you're storing a little bit more glycogen is pretty cool. And I'm not gonna lie, the pumps have been pretty satisfying, right? It's all transient growth, but nevertheless, I still enjoy a good pump here and there. So yeah, this is what, for the most part, a full upper body day looks like. A little bit of everything. It usually takes me, if I'm really on it, anywhere between 60 to 90 minutes to get through all of that. My lower body sessions can actually be a lot quicker, and that's simply because I don't require as much volume for my lower half. And that's the footage we're going to get into in 1 second here. All right, and this is, by the way, my lower body gym. When it comes to just the amount of machines they carry, the variety, nothing out there really compares. So Iron Prodigy in Fort Collins, just so many different gadgets in here. I don't necessarily like the free weight stuff too much, but they have contraptions such as this. And by the by, when it comes to the glute ham raise, I'm not ready to add any extra weight at this point. Just simply where I have my hands, that changes the lever enough that I can make the exercise quite a bit more difficult if I have my arms, say, at chest level compared to at my sides, or if I'm feeling really spicy. It's a day where I'm working in the lower rep ranges, I can have them overhead. But today was a volume day, and that's why they are at my sides. So the current program, obviously there's an auto-regulation component. Some days I might have a total of, I don't know, 40 sets for a training day, and then other days it might be 25. And this will really come in handy when it's time to get into my fat loss phase, which I'm still kind of sort of debating. And the main reason that I am debating this is simply because I want to set a good example to a lot of the younger lifters out there. And I think sometimes, well, first of all, I came from a generation where it was all about the bulk. If you were sub 200 pounds, there was something severely wrong with you. You really couldn't call yourself a bodybuilder. And I don't think that is correct by any means, but I do think that just especially nowadays, social media tends to put out the idea that we should remain shredded and peeled year-round. And especially some of the higher level pros, or a lot of the more prominent figures within the fitness industry, usually they won't post much physique updates when they're not necessarily feeling at their best. So just so happens that when these big names are really peeled is when you will see a lot of pictures of them in your feed, a lot of physique pictures. And I kind of I want to, again, I think that at this point, one of my hallmarks is the fact that I can get in pretty good shape come time to compete. But what people don't see is that there's an investment period where I am not necessarily peeled year-round. And yeah, I am approaching the 8th month of this gaining phase. So it would be time, according to my usual schedule, to trim down. However, I also don't think it would be a bad idea to keep this momentum going, because I do have plenty of that. And then also at the same time have a positive impact on the fitness community, and especially the younger lifters out there who, again, I want them to see that I'm not peeled year round, and that I get fat sometimes, or fat by our standards, which usually by any means is not fat. So that's kind of what's up in the air. If you guys have any input on that, I would love to hear that. And this right here, so this is one of the main reasons that I go to this gym, this single leg press. I like to call it the DeLorean leg press, because it just kind of, it almost resembles like some weird looking car that you get into. But I really love it because it's unilateral. I love the way it feels, and it's really let me correct some imbalances that I had primarily in my left leg, and it also allows me to work with higher rep ranges in a way that's much more practical than say a front or a back squat. So I've been really loving the leg press this off season, and I definitely think, partially because of this contraption, yes, genetics, but a big part of it is the fact that I rediscovered the leg presses. I really do think my legs will be the body part that has made the most progress during this off season. So yeah, same thing here. We're working in the high rep ranges, which you can kind of tell by the faces I'm making. Yeah, again, just has been like, if we ever, because like I said, there's a lot of different contraptions here in this gym. They're constantly being rotated in and out. If he ever decides to sell this or get rid of it, I'll probably be the first in line to take it off his hands. So if you have this thing at your gym, I think the official name is a hammer strength unilateral leg press machine. Definitely give it a go. It's a machine that fits most pretty well. But yes, that is basically what I have for you guys. We're going to go through a volume phase. These are the last 6 or so weeks of my gaining phase. Depending on a few things, I will decide whether or not I extend it or not. Maybe even throw out a physique update, and then you guys can let me know if I'm getting out of hand or if I should keep going. But I will say that often if you have good momentum going either way with a fat loss phase or a gaining phase, there's nothing wrong with extending that just a little bit. And as of right now, when it comes to the gaining, we're doing super well, and I'd hate to put an end to that, especially since I don't necessarily think I'm out of hand. And then this right here, I just wanted to share this with you guys. So Leanna's been working around some knee injuries, and this machine's really come in handy for that, so that we can keep some of that outstanding muscle mass that she has in her lower legs. We're using blood flow restriction, and you know, just seeing her make something out of nothing during a time in her training, again, where it hasn't been fun, or fun all the time, has been, I think that was one of the decisions, one of the things that played a role in me making my decision to, like, hey, let's not get greedy and try to have yet another heavy training block. Because yeah, a big part of your success is going to depend on you just staying healthy. So I'll probably close it in with this for you younger lifters out there. If you can minimize the time you spent hurt, you will have made a ton of progress 10 years from now. So that should always be at the forefront of everything else, because it kind of relates again to Eric's pyramid, the adherence factor. You cannot adhere to training if you are hurt. So showing up is just super important. That's it. I'll leave it here. If you guys have any input on anything, things you guys would like to see more of, see less of, definitely let me know. If you've made it this far in this video, I really appreciate you taking the time to keep up with my training. So yeah, I really want this vlog to be helpful to people, and not just necessarily something for me to look back on, to reflect on my own personal memories in the gym, because that is something that I do get from these. I every once in a while go back to 2-3 years and revisit an old phase in my training, and yeah, that's pretty cool. But I also want this to be helpful, and I want to use whatever platform we have here at 3D Muscle Journey to be of use to you guys, especially the the younger generation. So much information out there that I want to make sure I'm contributing in the right way. That is it. I will leave it there, and I really, really appreciate just all the support